In December 2011, in a room filled with diplomats from around the world, a name was announced that carried the weight of an entire nation. Miriam Defensor Santiago, a Filipina senator known for her sharp tongue, towering intellect, and fearless independence, had just been elected as a judge of the International Criminal Court in The Hague. For many Filipinos, it was a moment of pride. For others, it was a surprise. But for those who had followed her long and often controversial career, it felt like a natural extension of who she had always been. A woman who believed the law was not just a profession, but a calling. To understand how she became the first Filipino elected to the ICC, you have to go back long before that historic vote in 2011. You have to start with a young girl from Iloilo city who grew up believing that excellence was not optional. It was expected. Miriam was born on June 15, 1945. From an early age, she stood out. She graduated as valedictorian in elementary and high school. At the University of the Philippines, she earned her law degree and once again graduated at the top of her class. Those who studied with her would later recall that she was not just brilliant, she was relentless. She prepared obsessively, she spoke precisely, she competed fiercely. But her journey was not confined to the Philippines. She earned a Master of Laws and later a Doctor of Juridical Science degree from the University of Michigan in the United States. That international exposure shaped her perspective. She understood both local governance and global legal systems. She saw how institutions functioned and how they failed. When she entered public service, she did not enter quietly. She became known for challenging corruption and inefficiency. As Immigration Commissioner in the late 1980s, she launched aggressive reforms that angered powerful figures. Eventually, she was removed from her post, but the controversy only amplified her reputation as someone unwilling to bend under pressure. Her 1992 presidential run was another turning point. Though she did not win, her campaign energized millions, especially young voters who were drawn to her fiery speeches and uncompromising tone. She often spoke without a script. She blended humor, sarcasm, and biting commentary in ways that were both entertaining and intimidating. Love her or criticize her, you could not ignore her. Throughout her years in the Senate, she built a reputation as one of the most legally articulate lawmakers in the country. She filed numerous bills and was deeply involved in debates on constitutional law, international law, and criminal justice. Her colleagues sometimes described her as intimidating in hearings. She read everything, she remembered everything, and she rarely let a weak argument pass unchallenged. So when the opportunity came in 2011 for the Philippines to nominate a candidate to the International Criminal Court, her name carried weight. The ICC, established in 2002 and based in The Hague, Netherlands, was created to prosecute individuals responsible for genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression. Judges elected to the court are chosen by the Assembly of States Parties, composed of countries that have ratified the Rome Statute. It is not a simple process. Candidates must demonstrate high moral character, impartiality, integrity, and recognized competence in criminal and international law. They are scrutinized not only by their own governments, but by the international community. When Miriam Defensor Santiago was elected in December 2011, she became the first Filipino ever elected to serve as an ICC judge. For a country that had often watched global legal developments from the sidelines, it was a symbolic breakthrough. The election was not just about national pride. It was about recognition. It signaled that a Filipino jurist had earned the confidence of the international legal community. It suggested that expertise developed in Manila could stand shoulder to shoulder with jurists from Europe, Africa, Latin America, and Asia. But history is rarely straightforward. Shortly after her election, Santiago revealed that she had been diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, which later developed into lung cancer. The news stunned her supporters. The woman who had seemed indestructible, who sparred with critics effortlessly, who commanded Senate hearings with razor-sharp precision, was facing a deeply personal battle. Although her term at the ICC was supposed to begin in 2012, her health challenges limited her ability to serve fully. She eventually took medical leave and later resigned in 2014. For some observers, that detail complicates the narrative. They ask, does it still matter if she did not complete her term? The answer depends on how we understand legacy. Legacy is not always measured by duration. Sometimes it is measured by doors opened, by barriers broken, by the message sent. Her election alone marked a milestone. It showed that Filipino legal minds could compete and win on the world stage. It expanded the imagination of what was possible for young law students in the Philippines. It created a reference point in international legal history that included the country's name. Beyond the milestone itself, Santiago's life was a study in contradictions. She was fiercely intellectual, yet deeply emotional. She could deliver complex legal analysis one moment and crack a joke the next. She inspired admiration and controversy in equal measure. Critics often pointed to her blunt style. Supporters praised her authenticity. She once said that she would rather be remembered as someone who spoke the truth than someone who played safe. That philosophy defined much of her career. In 2016, she ran for president again, even as her health declined. It was a campaign marked by resilience. She spoke openly about her illness. She framed her candidacy as a fight not only against corruption, but against hopelessness. Though she did not win, her presence in the race reminded many Filipinos of her long-standing commitment to public service. When she passed away on September 29, 2016, tributes poured in from across political lines. Supporters remembered her as a champion of the rule of law. Critics acknowledged her formidable intellect. International observers noted her historic ICC election. Today, years later, her ICC milestone is sometimes overshadowed by other headlines connected to the court. But that 2011 moment remains significant. It stands as a reminder that global institutions are shaped by individuals from many nations, including the Philippines. If you strip away the politics, the controversies, and the debates, what remains is a story of ambition, intellect, and persistence. A young girl from Iloilo who studied relentlessly. A law professor who mastered international legal principles. A public servant who refused to soften her voice. And a jurist who earned election to one of the world's most significant courts. The story of Miriam Defensor Santiago at the ICC is not just about being first. It is about representation. It is about what it means for a developing nation to see one of its own recognized in a global arena of justice. In the end, perhaps the most human part of her story is not the title she earned, but the effort behind it. The nights spent studying. The arguments fought. The risks taken. The resilience shown in the face of illness. History will remember her as the first Filipino elected to the International Criminal Court. But those who watched her career unfold may remember something else too. The intensity in her voice, the conviction in her words, and the unshakable belief that the law, at its best, can still matter. And for many Filipinos, that belief was the real legacy she left behind.